It's all the little snippets, and actually when Sir Winston and his son Randolph went to see the Pope, I think Randolph was only about 9 years old. Yes. He took a whole load of souvenirs with him, which I think were stones, which he asked the Pope to bless so he could make more money back at school. Yes, he wanted to sell them to the Catholic, which was probably always considered good sport by cheeky Randolph. It's very interesting. Randolph, in 1932, aged 19, he was very precocious. And he went over to Germany, and in 1932, he was the first person to write about the concerns over the rise of Hitler. And it was the very first article of anybody put into the Times about his concerns over. And actually Winston came very nearly to actually meeting Hitler, because Randolph told him he had to go over to see what was happening in Germany. And Hitler was told that Winston was staying in a particular place, I think just outside Munich. And Hitler's chief of staff went and met Winston, but Hitler couldn't actually bring himself to meeting him. But I must say, it's wonderful to have this book come out. I saw a little bit which we didn't read, which was your parents took you down for V-Day. And yes. I must say, we're now celebrating the 70th anniversary of Winston becoming Prime Minister, and in those dark days it really didn't seem very clear that we would get to a victory at all. In fact, last week there was a sale of Gillian which came up at Christie's from the late American collector Malcolm Forbes, and there's an extraordinary letter that came up for auction. One of Winston's private secretaries resigned because he didn't believe the war could be won, and he wrote to Winston 2 weeks after he became Prime Minister saying, Winston, you know, there's no way we can do this, it's against all the odds, and you really must seek the best terms you can with Hitler. Winston's reply to his assistant private secretary was, you should be ashamed of yourself. I return your letter to burn and destroy. Yours, Winston. Needless to say, he couldn't return it. It's a very first thing, and I think your wonderful tribute, Gillian, is absolutely tremendous, and I really enjoyed listening to you here this evening. So thank you very much indeed.
I would just like to thank Randolph very much indeed for coming on. It was really very kind of him. He didn't hesitate to come along and grace the proceedings with his presence. And of course it was lovely to hear those few little anecdotes. I think one of the things that's been said about Jill's book is that actually it's a great history lesson. And a teacher friend of mine has said that her GCSE pupils love it because they don't have to wade through great tomes of books to learn an awful lot about an awful lot of Sir Winston Churchill's life. And I think there are very few people, in fact I think Jill is perhaps the only person alive who could have written this work, because not only is she steeped in history, she's also a very good poet, as I think was illustrated by the work. I don't know, do we have time for a few questions? Because I interrupted your offering people a chance to ask questions. Would anyone like to ask questions before we round off?
We must all remember, if it wasn't for his great-grandfather, we should probably be speaking in German.
Yes. Yes. So, if there's any questions anyone would like to ask, please feel free to do so.
When did you start this, Gillian? When did you start the poem?
I got the book, I wrote it in the big exercise book, so I could look it up. But my guess is I started about the year 2001, and I finished about 2 years later. But I didn't show it or read it to many people, or I thought it was a bit long, it would bore them.
On the contrary.
Yeah.
Absolutely so concise and beautifully compact, I would say. And as Derek says, it seems to give everything.
Yes, he was the man who said it ought to be published. and got it published. But I'm afraid it's more difficult to get it publicised or any distributor to take it.
We're working on that. Any other questions?
Did you research the history, or did you pluck it? No, you very
I
well.
researched
Did you
it
pluck
quite
it out of
a
your...
bit. My father had an awful lot of his books, and Randolph's book about him. And I thought I was going to find the last part difficult when I came to the end of the books he'd written about the Second World War. But then somebody gave my husband, who was really pleased with it, Lady Soames' Life of Clement.
Yes.
So when my husband had finished it, it took him about 3 months, but he thoroughly enjoyed it. That was just what I needed for the last part.
So how near did you ever get to the great man himself?
How many?
How near did you get to him? Did you ever meet him or see him?
No. My father-in-law did, so
Yes.
he told me with that in the trenches. And I saw him on the balcony, of course, on the day.
Yes.
But that was all.
It's not a festival, but he did write me a letter when I was 6 years old
Oh.
on the House of Commons writing paper.
You wrote to him and he wrote back.
I made him a birthday card and he wrote back, thank you, it by hand, thank you so much for your good wishes, Mr. Nestor.
I wonder how much that's worth.
Have you still got it?